Welcome to the Silver Screen Podcast. I'm Jared Boomer.
And I'm Katie Gainey West. This is a podcast about movies and pop culture.
And today we are recapping the 97th Academy Awards. Very exciting.
We're getting close to 100.
They are. Maybe they'll invite us to the 100th.
Big.
Yeah.
They're going to do something big.
They're going to have to, the movies that come out that year are going to have to be good.
Yeah,
it's the
please.
100th Oscars.
Better than this year, please.
Yeah, this year we had some good ones. We had some bad ones.
Yeah.
But you know, for the 100th Oscars, start working on those movies now, filmmakers.
Jared, can I just tell you that if we made our top 10 list today, it would be wildly different than it was a couple weeks ago when we recorded that episode.
I think mine would have some additions as well because like I hadn't seen Anora at that point. Mm-hmm. I hadn't seen some other nominees for Best Picture, so I think mine would definitely be swapped around for sure.
Yep.
But the Oscars did happen. We're going to talk about them here in just a second, but we did have some other things that happened since our last episode. We had some actors that passed away, most notably Gene Hackman passing away at the age of 95. His wife unfortunately passed away. One of their dogs passed away as well. And the investigation is still ongoing. Initially thought maybe it was like carbon monoxide, and they came out and said not carbon monoxide. So they're still trying to figure out kind of exactly what happened there.
Yep. And then Michelle Trachtenberg also passed away. I read immediately after that she had a liver transplant recently. And so they think it was something to do with like her body not accepting the liver. But I don't know what led to her needing a liver transplant because she was only 39. So that's really sad. And then she was not included in the in memoriam at the Oscars. And I know people were really upset, but they did like a call out for Gene Hackman.
Yes.
So there's always someone, though, isn't there, every year, Jared? Like, I feel like every year they're upset that someone's left out, and it would be hard. It would be hard to make sure you get absolutely everybody. But we'll get back to that during our Oscar talk. But then Gene Hackman, I've definitely been reading everything I can find about it because I bet it's going to be something that's like, I don't think at all it's something nefarious, like somebody killed them. But I do think it's interesting that one dog died, the other two didn't, but they said the other two dogs were outside.
Okay.
And then
his wife dying is 65 is not old per se. I mean, it's old enough that if you pass away at that age, people don't, extremely question it, but it's still not super duper old. So the fact that she also passed away too was that's the more interesting thing to me. Him being 95, that's a very long time to live. But her being 65,
and the dog passing away is weird. But I bet it's going to be something like something was wrong with food or something they ingested. They fed it to the dog. I mean, still it would have to be something severe, but I bet it's going to be something that's not necessarily like, crazy.
We'll see what the actual reason is when they finish the investigation. So
just yesterday, Dolly Parton's husband, Carl Dean, passed away at the age of 82, but they had been married 58 years. I'm so sad for them. She loved Carl Dean so much. She talked about him all the time. He was super private. Mm-hmm. So like you can't even find a ton of photos of him. But I love their love, and I'm so sorry for her loss.
I think it's interesting, like that relationship, because obviously Dolly is so famous and so well known and respected, and then married somebody that was obviously out of the spotlight, but then that person was never like, let me try to get in the spotlight. You know what I mean? Like, let me use your connections and your, kind of power in the industry to make something happen for myself. Like, he seemed like he was just perfectly happy to be her husband and just kind of enjoy life. And like you said, live pretty privately and pretty low key and kind of under the radar. So
I think their love was real, which is beautiful. Mm-hmm. And anyone who gets to get married now, and stay married for over 5 decades, that's such a gift, because that's not really guaranteed, even if our life expectancy is longer.
And there are some really like cute pictures that have come out the past day or two of them when they were a lot younger. Like some pictures of them together. So that is cool though. Unfortunate that he passed away, obviously, but she got to spend a lot of time with him. Like you said, they were married for over 50 years. That's incredible. So rest in peace to Carl Dean. hopefully Dolly's doing okay. So,
Yeah. And I do hope Michelle Trachtenberg's family's doing okay
hmm
because 39, that is so sad. I
hmm
just didn't feel, there hasn't been a lot of talk about it. They were just like, oh, she died. And then they're not going to do
no,
an
it
autopsy. And
it kind of happened, and then that was kind of just all the news we got
yeah.
about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so very sad with everybody passing away,
Oh,
obviously.
and the Pope is not doing well. I keep getting
Yes.
updates and they keep getting worse. Because our friend Will, shout out Will, we love you. Jared and Will and I were all texting before the Oscars and we were worried. And I said, not even joking. I just think it's crazy that this year one of the best movies was about the conclave and picking the next pope. And now that very well might be something that happens within the next year.
Yeah, I think it probably will if things continue to progress the way they have. Obviously, they're
Yeah.
trying to treat him as well as possible, but
Yeah.
he's the day we're recording this, March 4th, he's stable right now, but
Hmm.
yesterday he was on a ventilator again after respiratory failure, so it seems like it's kind of come and go with his condition. So,
Right.
but yeah, there might be a conclave, and then that would be very interesting considering their
Hmm.
movie just came out regarding that whole situation and how that works and all that stuff. So, and Conclave did win a few Oscars, which we will talk about in our recap of the Academy Awards airing on Sunday, March 2nd on ABC, hosted by Conan O'Brien for the very first time. We'll talk more about him in just a few minutes, his job as an Oscars host. And you saw some movies that we hadn't talked about, obviously, in our top 10, and mine kind of the same way, but we always try to watch all the Best Picture nominees. And then you watched a lot of other nominees too, like some of the
Yes.
documentaries, some of the shorts, things like that. So, what are some that from the time we did our top 10 to now that you would say, were standouts for you?
I watched I think I watched 15 things since we did our top 10, but 5 of those were shorts, animated short films. But I went to the movie theater 3 times Oscar week. So I would go like after the baby went to bed. I would stay up late and Jared and I have more to say on this later, but I spent a lot of money just trying to fit all this stuff in. But the notable ones that I saw, the top 4, Jared and I both saw I'm Still Here last week. That was one of my last 2 Best Picture. I did get to see all Best Picture nominees this year, which is great.
So did I. Yeah. Was not
Yes.
easy, but got it
No,
done.
no. I'm Still Here. Loved it. Brazil, I mean, I was going to mention this later, but Brazil did win for this. This was Brazil's first Oscar they ever won was for I'm Still Here. And it was nominated for Best Picture and Best International Film. It won International Film. Such a good movie. However, I saw it the day after I watched The Seed of the Sacred Fig. And it's an almost 3-hour movie, and I had to pay for it. It was so good. And I do not have a a vast knowledge on Tehran or Iran's history or anything. It was so good. It was like watching a thriller.
Okay.
And also, it was kind of like The Brutalist to me, where it was a slow burn, but it was an interesting slow burn. And by the end, I was watching it in bed. And actually, our cat doesn't normally like sleep with us. But that night, he was laying there with me, and my heart was pounding. And he was awake. And so I was just like, Rupert, what's going to happen? I was just like panicking at the end of the film. But I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but it was fantastic. And I did learn more about Iran. And then another one I saw was Inside Out 2. So good. I can't really say if it was better or the same as the first one. I think it was pretty close though to me as far as enjoyment went. I every time well, it's not every Pixar film, but a lot of them, I'm just amazed by the innovation, the animation, and how they can move me emotionally. I don't understand how they do it. Amazing. But nothing animation wise moved me more than The Wild Robot. People kept saying like you're gonna cry, get your tissues, and I just was like, oh, here we go. Because a lot of people, they overhype things. I cried multiple times. I watched it at home, and at first I just thought, oh, this is sweet, and this is what
Mm-hmm.
And then once I figured out that Roz was like being a mom to someone, I was just like, oh my god! Like, I just started thinking about my future and giving birth and all these things. I was just like, ah. So I lost it. But The Wild Robot, I cannot believe it didn't win.
I
Cannot
was
believe
a
it.
little surprised it did not win. Flow was also very good though.
Yeah, I did watch Flow, but I didn't
Which
love. I thought it was good, but I didn't
I
love
thought
it.
I thought the no dialogue thing hurt Flow a little bit. Hurt me in terms of paying attention to it.
Yes, yeah,
If it had had
definitely.
more, if it had dialogue, because the animation style was fantastic and
It
really well done,
was.
just like the Wild Robot. But it having no dialogue,
Hmm.
it hurt like was difficult for me to connect to it. I guess as much as the Wild Robot, which was
Right.
obviously in my top 10. Like I think I had a number 3 or 4, something like that. So it was very high up there. So for me, I also watched I'm Still Here. Really enjoyed that.
Hmm.
Again, pretty low expectations going into it. But story was really fascinating and based on a true story, which I didn't know.
I didn't know that
So,
either.
but really, like, really well done, really interesting watch there. And then also, of course, watched Honora, which I hadn't watched in my top 10. Really enjoyed that as well. Saw Nickel Boys, which I thought was
Me
good.
too.
The decision to film it the way they did, I know, has been kind of controversial, where it's like shot from a first person perspective. I thought that was okay. I didn't really have a problem with that. I thought the movie was like a little too long in terms of its like story
Yes.
it was telling. I felt like it could have been cut down a little bit.
I definitely thought it was too long and I didn't like the camera style. I didn't
Hmm.
really mind the first person. I just thought it got confusing. But what I really
Yes.
didn't like was the different perspective, like going back in time or showing things like I get that they were trying to show Black history and different oppression and stuff, but it went over my head a lot of the time.
Yeah, Allison saw it with me and she really connected to it and I was like kind of confused at the ending, but
Me too. I had to look it up.
she knew what was going on like the whole time. So I guess for
Yeah.
some people it's really really good. So
Yeah.
and then I'm trying to think of the other Best Picture nominees. I think we had seen most of them. We had seen 6 or 7
Uh-huh.
by the time we did our top 10. So
You hadn't finished Amelia Perez. You watched
I
that.
I have
Yeah.
finished
I
Amelia
saw you gave it
Perez
1.5 stars. I
one and a
laughed
half
so
stars.
hard.
I gave
Yeah.
it, I was at 2, dropped it down to 1.5 because that ending was wild. Like, what a way for a 2-hour
Yeah.
movie to just end
Yeah.
like that. That was seemed like such a cop out in terms of the ending.
Yep.
And then didn't love a lot of the songs. The song that won Best Song, I thought was probably the best song in the movie, but I don't know if
Yeah.
it was the
Yeah.
best song of the
Of
year.
the year.
And Zoe Saldana winning felt like that was deserved. She had a good performance in that movie, but the
Yeah.
story, the like you said in your review, like the fact that it's in Spanish but it's made by a French director, weird. Trying to hit on, it seemed like it was just trying to hit on so many different things.
Well,
Like
and
we're gonna highlight
yes.
Latin America, we're gonna highlight transgender people, we're gonna highlight oppression. It's like
Yeah.
so many different like topics that it's trying to go after in one movie.
Yes.
So
And I also, it was interesting since we are talking about the Oscars, people mentioned there was no mention on any of the speeches about trans rights or trans people. And like that was like one of the main themes of the film because the main actress is trans, but then also in the movie is trans.
mhm.
And I understand that she was controversial and she is in hot water right now because she said some horribly offensive things. But I also just think it's so weird that they marketed this film and they were like, this is the trans movie of the year and really put a lot of effort into it. And then nobody mentioned it ever again.
I also thought like the whole storyline of like Selena Gomez not recognizing that that's her past
Husband.
like
Yeah.
husband was kind of far fetched. Like if you had been that connected to somebody, even if they changed genders, you would
Yeah.
probably still you would notice things that would make you say, okay, is this
Yeah.
the
Because
person that
the kids noticed right away.
yeah,
Like they were like, you smell like my dad.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a
Anyway, not
weird
my
movie
favorite
all
either.
around.
Yeah, I would not watch it again. I gave it 3 stars.
That seems generous.
Well, thank you. I mean, there were parts of it that I liked, and I watched it before the controversy happened.
Hmm.
I thought that it was an interesting concept because I did think, especially, it's not like trans movements are new or anything, but talking about it and attacks on trans people is so present right now. It is such an
Hmm.
issue that we're dealing with. And so I was like, well, this is important and this is definitely a relevant conversation. But I agree with you. I think they were trying to hit too many social issues And so it got lost. And I definitely didn't really like the music. And this was a movie where people campaigned hard and the actors were like, this is my best performance. And this is, talking it up. And then I watched it and was like, wow, you definitely have a higher opinion of yourself in that movie than I do. Like I thought Zoe was great, and I actually thought Carla was really good in her role. But anyway, I'm honestly I'm impressed that Carla even came to the Oscars. I wouldn't have
I
shown my
am
face
too.
there.
And
I would have been
then
like, I'm not gonna win. I got to get out of here.
that joke by Conan was definitely the biggest burn of the night.
It was. It
Early
was.
on, which got a big response from the audience, obviously. But she took it in stride, and
She did.
credit to her. Obviously those tweets are not good at all, and tanked Amelia Perez's chances of winning many
Yeah.
more Oscars.
Yeah.
But props to her for, like, I guess, showing up, because
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I also thought it was interesting how, supporting actor and actress were going to come out, have somebody talk about all the nominees,
Hmm.
but then for Best Actor and Best Actress, because she was nominated in Best Actress, they did not do that. They just showed clips from the movies. So
Wow. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
yeah, but also I like the clips more anyway. I don't need
Yeah.
RDJ to come out and
Same.
tell me why he likes Kieran Culkin. Just show me a clip
Same.
from A Real Pain. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So,
Yep.
okay, well, let's move into some other things here for notable moments. Conan hosting, thought he did a pretty good job.
Yes.
The monologue was pretty good. I guess I was expecting like excellent material from him, and I don't think it was that excellent level, but I thought
Hmm.
it was good and did what it needed to do. Him crawling out of Demi Moore's body to start the broadcast was kind of interesting, and then
Yeah.
really didn't love his song about how he wasn't going to waste time. I thought that
The
was kind of long at
song.
the
I
end.
hated the song. I won't waste time. And now I'm Jared, you're saying exactly how I feel. Like I think I was expecting excellence and we got like pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. Now, I will say on Conan's behalf, I wasn't worried, which was really nice. It was nice to watch an Oscars and not have it be overly political because honestly, I think people are already upset enough in either direction. People are not doing well. It was kind of nice for 3 hours to not get it. Now, he did make a joke about someone standing up to Russians, and I did appreciate that. And especially with it being the weekend of the anniversary of the war starting
Mm-hmm.
in Ukraine, I was like, that was appropriate. But I think he did a really good job, and he was never known on his show for being political. So I appreciated that. And I think, especially if there are like baby boomers and things who complain that I know that
That
complain
it's too
about
political.
being too political, I think they really would have enjoyed this. And the show was over before 11 p.m.
I also thought he handled the serious moments pretty well. Like, he had to talk
Hmm.
about the LA wildfires. I thought he handled
Yes.
that with a lot of poise. He brought out some of the firefighters, and did a funny bit with them where they told jokes that,
Yep.
he said nobody can not laugh at, because these are the firefighters that,
Right.
saved our community, basically.
Right.
So thought that was funny. Thought his bit about the whole, what if there was a place where you could watch movies on a screen, like a movie
Yes, that
theater,
was
was
funny.
pretty funny.
But
So
I'm with you. I hated the song. I won't waste time. I was like, this is stupid. I hate
and
this.
at that point, it was like 7:35 p.m. and we had not handed out an award. I mean, we were like
Yeah.
almost 40 minutes into the broadcast, because we had Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo come out and
Yep.
sing for 15 minutes,
Yep.
and then Conan do his monologue.
Oh,
So
which that leads me to one of the notable moments that everyone's been talking about. But I noticed this was the dress that Ariana was wearing when they sang, and it had a ruby red shoe in the back of the dress. The designer Schiaparelli, she wore Schiaparelli on the red carpet and also with that red dress. I have more on that later. But their performance was fantastic, and I thought that was such a good choice because a lot of times they do big song and dance numbers. They do sometimes too much music and stuff. And I thought that is for sure, these are the songs of the year. And also, Wicked won some things, but I felt like we knew they weren't going to win Best Picture. We knew certain things about it. So I'm glad that Wicked got its moment.
I am happy they brought them on the broadcast to perform. I thought of all the musical performances, which we can talk about the other ones here in a minute, I thought that was maybe the most warranted of the three or four.
Yeah.
Defying Gravity is a huge song and was
Yeah.
obviously everywhere. And Cynthia Erivo sang that maybe
Amazing.
better than she did in the movie, honestly. I mean, that was like an incredible performance.
And to do that live when you're
Yeah.
at one of the most like intense, where you would be nervous in your whole
Yep.
career, even if you've been on Broadway and everything else, that would be so nerve-wracking, and she did not hit a bad note.
No. So that was a very, very powerful way to start the broadcast for sure.
Yes.
After the little tribute from about LA and movies that were made in LA, showing
Mhm.
clips from like La La Land and
Yeah,
some of these
which I
other.
liked that too, because it wasn't very long. That didn't
No,
bother
it was
me.
short and it was quick. We got the
Yeah.
point.
Yep. And if they
Okay.
didn't acknowledge the wildfires, there would have been hell to pay. So it's good that
Yes.
they
Yep.
did acknowledge it. And then they had like a relief fund you can give here
Mhm.
at the bottom of the screen. I mean, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was good. Like we said, Conan was good hosting. I liked when he brought out Quentin Tarantino, and he was like, "I don't have a joke here because I
Yes.
just love Quentin Tarantino." So here he
Yes.
is.
That was good.
And I thought the other thing too that was cool was like you could tell that like Conan watched the movies, likes movies.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes the Oscar host is just like, "Oh, these movies, like nobody saw them and they were too long," and yeah, like Jimmy Kimmel does that sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas Conan kind of had more of a celebratory tone of like, we're celebrating the people that made these movies.
Mhm.
And, you know, he even mentioned like, obviously we've got the actors and actresses, but we've got so many people that you never see, like the craftspeople and the, you know, people that do the sound and editors and all that stuff. So,
Yep. Agreed.
another notable moment was Adrian Brody, which we'll get to in a second. But on the red carpet, Halle Berry decided to kiss Adrian Brody. Now, this
Yes.
is a thing that dates back like 20 years.
It happened in 2003. I looked it up. So
But
22 years ago.
what was so weird is Adrian Brody's girlfriend was standing right there, and Halle Berry was like, I just have to kiss you on the
Yeah.
lips. And I was like, you really don't.
I
You coulda
mean, I felt differently about it because not at all like, oh, this is just a thing that happens. But I do think in the acting community, people, especially people who are actually professionals about it, are less weird about that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like we even see men, we even saw it on the broadcast. Brady Corbet kissed somebody on the mouth, a man on the
Yeah.
mouth. Like that's definitely more of a, actors will do that kind of thing. So I wasn't really taken aback by Georgina Chapman standing there, and I don't think she cared. I also think she's a woman that's nearly 50. She is confident in her relationship. They've been together 5 years. And Halle Berry's in a happy relationship too. I liked it because when Adrian did that to Halle, nobody thought about it at the time. Like, I even remember when that happened live and I was watching. But then there was a whole conversation when Me Too started picking up momentum that people talked about that, how that was an example of not asking for consent and just doing what he felt like on a broadcast, which was kind of no better than what some of the other men were doing, which is true. And so I loved that she kind of dished it right back to him. And I thought she did it in a playful way that was like, I didn't feel like it was gross that she did it. I don't know. I liked it. I was glad somebody caught it on camera, because if we just heard about it later, I would have been really sad that I missed it. But
Yeah,
those
I
were my
think-
thoughts.
I think too, doing it on the red carpet, which is a little more casual than like
Uh-huh.
in the ceremony proper, was probably okay, I guess. So it was a little interesting though. I also saw
Yeah.
as soon as like Kieran Culkin got to the red carpet, he noticed Jeremy Strong was like 50 yards away and like
Yes,
ran to
and
him
ran.
immediately, and they gave each other a hug, which was nice. And
Yeah.
I saw at the Vanity Fair party, Jesse Eisenberg ran into Andrew Garfield. Obviously, they were in the Social Network, so they had they
Oh.
took some pictures together.
I
So
love that. I kept reading about all the people who left parties together. And that was like the hot goss. Like everybody thinks Andrew Garfield and Monica Barbaro are dating, which I think they are.
mhm.
But there was a picture taken of them getting out of a car together at the Vanity Fair party. And then Zoe Kravitz, who I love. Now, I don't love this pairing, but it kind of makes sense. Noah Centineo and Zoe Kravitz, they left
Okay.
the Vanity Fair party together, like at the end of the night. So that was like kind of exciting to see. But
Ooh.
just to spread, you heard it here first, but I heard it from someone else. But I kind of love that stuff.
Yeah, that's always interesting, the after parties and like what happens.
Yeah.
And because there's
Yeah.
so many actors and actresses that don't go to the Oscars that go to the after parties.
Uh-huh.
And there's like so many after parties. There's the Vanity Fair, there's
Right.
the Governor's Ball, there's like 3 or 4 other. Hollywood Reporter, I think, does one. And like there's like so many different
Yeah.
Oscar parties that you could possibly go to.
But I think
So-
Vanity Fair is the one you want to go to.
Yeah, I think
That's
Vanity
what
Fair
I would go to.
is
Yeah.
like the one. So
Yep.
Now Adrian Brody, back to Adrian Brody.
Yes, let's go back to him, shall we?
One best actor for The Brutalist, which was likely expected. It was him or Timmy. Timmy winning
Yeah.
at the SAG Awards kind of made people think, maybe he has a chance. But Adrian won best actor, gets up there and gives
Well, before he gets up there,
yes, great
he
capture by the camera, by the
throws
way.
out his chewing gum and throws it across the room to Georgina Chapman, and
catches it.
Now she didn't. I don't think she caught it because I saw
Okay.
her like run after it. So another thing, to me, that was like such a mom move. Like the fact that she's like, yeah, I'll take your gum. Like, I'll catch it. That's such a mom thing. But I just was like, that was so gross. Now, I know he probably wouldn't want to keep it in his hand and put it in his pocket of this designer outfit he's probably renting or, like borrowing.
Or like chomp gum during a speech.
But at the same time, I just think they could have handed you the Oscar and you could have said, can you take this? You could have asked someone. He demanded they cut off the music. He could have said, bring me out a tissue. Like, I was so bothered by that.
Also,
And
like,
then keep going. Yeah.
when your category's coming up, if you're best actor, like, and you even had Cillian Murphy come out and introduce it. There's time there to like spit out your gum.
And
to
honestly,
do something with it.
I'm sure that's nerve-wracking to speak in front of
Mhm.
everybody, and it's exciting, but like at best, I mean, it would have been annoying, but just keep it in your hand. Just hold it in your hand. Like, you don't
Sure.
need your hands for the speech, and you can hold the Oscar in one hand or set it on
Yep.
the ground. So weird.
After that, he got up there, got his award from Cillian, and then gave the longest speech in Oscars history, which came in
5
at
minutes, 40 seconds.
So this speech, I enjoyed the first about 90 seconds of it. I thought what he said about this is sometimes this seems glamorous and sometimes it's not. And for a guy like him who won an Oscar and then kind of faded into obscurity and did like Wes Anderson movies and other stuff, and then won another Oscar, he was like, this kind of, validates that I'm doing the right thing or whatever. I was like, okay, I get that. That's that's a point that I understand and I get. But after that, it was just like all over the place. And he didn't really say much of substance.
Well, the only part I liked was the one soundbite that people have been talking about where he was saying hate has no place here or something like that. And I was like, well, that's good. But I thought, well, if you talk for 6 minutes about anything, you're probably going to hit on something that's going to be resonate with people. But also, what shocked me so much about this speech was, if you're an actor, you aren't necessarily good at public speaking. But if you're an actor who has consistently won every award this year except for one, and you basically know you're a shoo-in for the Oscar, you didn't prepare a speech. And then I don't dislike Adrian Brody. But the minute we crossed into full pretension was when he told them to turn off the music. And at first, I know we all laughed. I mean, I laughed. I heard people in the audience laugh because he's like, I've done this before. And I was like, wow, why not sit down, be humble, in the words of Kendrick, because he just, like, that didn't need to happen. And also, you aren't even saying anything good. If you were saying a beautiful speech like Tom Hanks' speech when he won and talked about his gay high school teacher that inspired
or
him. Okay,
Matthew
turn off
McConaughey when he won.
Talking
Great
about
speech.
Absolutely. I mean, there are some in history that I'm like, wow, what a speech. That wasn't it. And so it was the mixture of the throwing the gum, turn off the music, and speaking nonsense that I was like, wow, like this isn't going to be, I'm not going to remember you in a good light based on this.
No, and then there were some other, like Zoe Saldana's speech was a little lengthy. Kieran Culkin's speech was a little lengthy, but they were interesting. I mean, at least they were saying something of substance and speaking in a quick way. I mean, Adrian
Kieran's
Brody
was funny. Kieran also cleaned up his language. I mean, they did have to bleep him for like a solid 10 seconds. But like for the most part, I think you could tell Kieran took this more seriously than the other award ceremonies because he really tried. And then Zoe Saldana was like losing it, but I felt like her reaction was so genuine. I was like, that is how people would be when they win an Oscar. And you're right. She was talking about something of substance. And then I'm trying to think who was the other.
Mikey
Madison. Right.
Which it even looks worse for Adrian Brody, who's in his 50s, when 10 minutes later, 25-year-old Mikey Madison gets up there with a prepared speech that is
for like 2 minutes,
way shorter, and hits on all the things that she wants to hit on, and
was so,
covers everything.
Was so calm. You know, like
Mhm.
the way she was speaking, I was just like, she doesn't even appear to be nervous. I like
Yeah.
just so even keeled. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was definitely a highlight.
A
And
low
then
light,
a
if you
low light
will.
for a yeah, notable moment for sure. And then we had
Yeah.
two musical tributes, one to Quincy Jones, one to James Bond.
Hmm.
Quincy Jones unfortunately passed away, so that seemed a little more warranted. They sang Queen Latifah came out, sang a song from The Wiz. Oprah and Whoopi introduced her,
Yeah.
but that was like very long into the broadcast, and I feel
Yeah.
like we could have cut that.
I didn't get the timing of it, like as far as timing in the show. I do know that, like, because I am so crazy about the James Bond franchise, I knew that this past week that they had sold, the Broccoli family said, like, we're done with this and passed it on to Amazon, which I hate. I'm irate about, but let's not dwell on it. But I kind of understood like why they wanted to put it in there, but I don't think it was the anniversary of anything. I don't think it was like 60
No.
years since James Bond came out. So I thought that was a completely unnecessary tribute. I also thought most of the singing was pretty bad.
Yeah, I
Um,
think the fact that they did a tribute, and other than that happening, which I don't know if they added that, could not have added that in after that happened because that was very like elaborate musical
right.
number that I feel like would have to have some practice and preparation for. But to do that, and then like no James Bond movie has come out in the last couple years. There's
Yeah.
not one coming out anytime soon.
And it was
It
even
seemed
weirder that
weird.
Margaret Qualley was in the dance because if she has a dancing background, I've never heard of it. She did a great job. But I just thought, why is she in this? And I know you, like our friend Will, like one of you had joked about, I thought she was like the next Bond girl. I didn't necessarily
Yeah.
think that, but I kept thinking, why is Margaret Qualley involved other than the fact that she's in the substance? But why is she in this tribute? And so the whole thing didn't make sense to me and was a waste of time. And I Quincy Jones had a big impact on movies and music and pop culture. But even that, I was kind of like, why is this tribute happening now? Like, he didn't have a song in a movie this year. He didn't pass away in the last like few months. Like, I didn't understand that
Hmm.
either. But if they kept something in, I would have said, keep the Quincy Jones tribute, take out the James Bond one, and don't do Conan's song at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that would have tightened it up a little bit for sure.
Yeah,
So, some other notable moments. Obviously, the other thing was Hulu was all excited, said we're going to stream the Oscars this year. You can watch the Oscars on Hulu,
not well.
and it worked for about the first 3 hours and 20 minutes, and then when we got to the biggest awards of the night, you were on Hulu,
Yep,
and you weren't able to see
cut
Best
out.
Actress or Best Picture.
Yeah, so the
So.
show just ended for me and I wouldn't say it's my favorite night of the whole year, but basically, like it's like Christmas night for me.
Yeah, it's
And
very
I just
exciting if
thought,
you're a movie fan.
yeah, and they always save the best stuff for last. And this year the one surefire could have been an upset, which it ended up to be, was the best actress award, and I missed the whole thing. And I was frantically trying, like, you could restart the Hulu broadcast. So you could go back, but it would just go to the beginning. So I thought,
Okay.
okay, so I just have to fast forward. So I did this 3 or 4 times, fast forwarded it to the end, and it still just kept cutting off. And then, Jared, I looked later. Apparently, the broadcast had glitches at the beginning too, which I didn't know because I think it was either during the red carpet or maybe it just didn't impact me. But I wasn't the only one. Definitely, everybody lost the broadcast at the end. But apparently, at the beginning, there were very similar issues as well. So Hulu did a horrible job. I don't know if anyone's taking any of the stuff into account, like what they need to change about the show or who's streaming it and all that. But I hope someone listens because it, like, just, I know Hulu isn't expensive, but I think like if you get this honor of being the one to stream this, you're probably getting a ton of money and stuff for that. And you can't even follow through to the end for your subscribers?
Yeah, that is not great.
No.
And they came out with a statement yesterday that
Okay.
said, quote, yesterday evening we experienced technical and live stream issues on Hulu, which have impacted some Oscar viewers. We apologize for the experience. A full replay of the event is available on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus. But here's the
Oh,
thing.
thanks, guys.
I
I'll
don't
go
want to
back
watch a
and watch it.
replay. I
Yeah.
want to watch it live because once you know
Perfect.
who wins, it's not really that exciting. So
Absolutely. Great. I'll get right on that replay, Jared.
apparently the issue was one of the things that they think maybe was the issue is that there was a scheduling issue and they had only scheduled it for a certain amount of time and it ran longer than that time and it just like cut it off. That's what
That's
some of the rumors are. So,
that's
which
crazy.
like,
Do better.
come on, Hulu, owned by
Do better.
Disney, who broadcasted the Oscars on ABC.
If I was running a conference or something, I wouldn't be like, well, you have to be done by 9:30. And if you're not done by 9:30, we're going to shut off power to the building.
Yeah, it's like on Zoom when you can do a 40-minute meeting for free.
Yeah.
Like, well, you're done. It's been 40 minutes, so
Yeah, so
bye.
that was so upsetting. So horrible job, Hulu. Thanks for the apology and the live stream for the replay for later.
Another thing that I would mention as a notable moment is obviously Sean Baker winning so many awards for Anora. And he's kind of like a one-man show. Like he wrote the movie, he edited the movie, he directed the movie, and he's a producer on the movie. So he won 4 Oscars.
He won 4. He won 4. He was nominated individually for 4 out of 4 categories. He won all 4.
Yes. And I believe he's the first person to do that since Walt Disney back in the 50s is what I read. So
wow.
Now, I will say, I thought all of his speeches were good. They were all short, and they all kind of focused on different things. Like one was talking about the sex worker community. One was talking about going to the movie theater. One was talking about just like people in the film and the performances and things like that. So I thought his funniest one was when he did editing and he was like, this movie was saved in the edit. Whoever directed this was awful and needs to be fired. I thought that was because obviously he directed it. So I thought that was a nice jab at himself there for that. But I thought all of his speeches were pretty good, pretty short, kind of just what you want from an Oscars speech, well prepared and kind of focusing on a different thing every time. So
yes, I completely agree. I thought he did a really nice job. And I super appreciated him and Mikey Madison talking about the sex worker community with such dignity and respect. I think that's really good. You reminded me of one other thing I thought was notable. Did you hear Mikey has a twin brother?
Does she?
That was who was with her, who handed her and she even thanked him in her speech. His name is Miles. And I was like, you have a twin brother? I have a twin brother. I just got really excited. So I thought that was cool. I thought for sure you would hear it, Jared, and then like text me immediately after. I was like, because she specifically shouted him out. And I always thought if I ever win an Oscar, I'm going to specifically say something to Sean. And I think Sean would probably be my guest.
Yeah, I think that would be a good person to take to the Oscars.
Yeah. So we'll see. Stay tuned.
Obviously not identical because they're boy and girl, and you can't be. So, but she has four siblings, 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. So nice. Yeah. So congratulations to Anora, obviously winning a lot of awards as we transition to some of the wins. Before we get to everybody's favorite segment, best and worst dressed, which we will get to here in just a few minutes. So we'll run through some of the wins quickly. Obviously, Anora won 5 out of 6 awards, so big night for Anora. Not so big of a night for Amelia Perez, winning 2 out of 13 awards. Another notable moment: freaking Amelia Perez songwriters deciding to sing at the end of their speech. So
weird.
cringy. Yeah. Everybody that worked on that movie just thinks it's like the best movie ever made, and that they did something so important.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the song wasn't even that good. And then they at the end are singing to the crowd at the Oscars, who was like not singing back at all. So that was strange. And then Mikey Madison obviously beating Demi Moore for Best Actress. Demi Moore was kind of the favorite going into this. Also interesting because Demi Moore's movie is about turning into a younger version of yourself, a younger woman, so that you can have like more opportunities and more beauty and things like that. And then literally what happens at the Oscars is she gets beat by somebody that's 25 30 years her junior. So
that was so sad.
I don't know and the sad thing is Mikey Madison is probably going to have more opportunities because she's so young. But Demi Moore, I don't know how many chances she will have to win an Oscar. Because she really did give everything with that performance.
I know. Now, I will say, in my opinion, I know I had texted you about this, Jared. In my opinion, Mikey did more acting. Like, I do think if we are basing it on acting, I would have given it to Mikey.
Okay.
But if we're basing it on who's going to get another chance in their career, who do we want to give it to because we like them, I would have picked Demi. But
Hmm.
I think if you base it on performance, then Mikey was the right choice. But it was gross that that was like literally the plot of The Substance.
And the interesting thing of like the substance is like it's obviously Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley kind of co-leading the movie, if you will.
Uh huh.
Whereas Mikey Madison is really doing a lot of the work in Honora. Like she is
Hmm.
the main character for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And is a very that's a very demanding role as well, just like in the substance. So
Right.
um, another win was No Other Land won Best Documentary Feature, even though nobody in the U.S. is distributing it.
And
There's nowhere to really watch it.
apparently, too, that's a big controversy, too, because it is about the like conflict in Gaza and the Palestinians and things. And so people are saying that us collectively choosing not to distribute it is cowardly. So I haven't seen it, obviously. I didn't see any of I know you could still see it places or buy it. I don't know how I know some people watched it, but I didn't actually get to see any of the documentary features, the long ones.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of those either. I heard some of them
Yeah.
were pretty good and pretty
I
heavy
did too.
topics. So,
Yeah. And
uh,
also, if we didn't say too, I got all of this information, like the specific one from Screen Rant and Time. They did some great articles online afterwards.
nice. And then Paul Taswell, he brought this up in his speech, but he's the
Mhm.
first black man to win an Oscar for costume design. I honestly thought his speech was one of the best of the night.
It was one of
He
the
was
best.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yes, and I love that he mentioned that and was so proud of that accomplishment,
Hmm.
and then people gave him a standing ovation. And then honestly, Zoe Saldana did the same, and she should. And I thought that was great. I double checked to make sure I got it right. She's the first American of Dominican origin to win an Academy Award, either male or female. So that's amazing. So happy for them, for both of them.
Yeah, so that was very cool. And then Latvia and Brazil won their first Oscars ever. We already mentioned I'm Still Here, but Flow won Best Animated Feature for Latvia.
Mhm.
And that was very exciting for Latvia and for those filmmakers, I'm sure.
And
Because it was a
then
pretty small movie, and winning Best
seriously,
Animated Feature is impressive. So,
and then I didn't know this. I thought this was interesting. A couple of these facts about Adrian Brody. So he's the first person to win two Best Actor Oscars in his first two nominations, which is impressive, even if he seemed like a pretentious oaf for some of the night. He previously won for his role in The Pianist in 2003. That was the year that he and Halle Berry had that kiss. But his first Oscar set a record that still stands. He's the youngest man to ever win Best Actor in Academy history. And then, in a notable parallel, he played a Holocaust survivor in both films. How weird is that?
it's very weird. And if Timothy Chalamet had won this year, he would have taken the record from Adrian
Yes,
Brody
for
for youngest.
youngest.
So that's
Yep.
that was an interesting storyline going into it as
Yeah.
well. But for age, there's been a couple of actors, not that many. When you go look at the list, it's not a long list of actors that
That
have
have
won
won.
multiple Oscars.
Yes. Yes. But our
But
good friend Tom Hanks, he has.
yes, and most of them did require more nominations than the amount of awards that they won. Like
Hmm.
if you won two, you might have gotten 4 or 5 nominations. But for
Right.
Brody to do it 2 for 2 is pretty impressive. So,
Right.
and
And oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Tom Hanks still has one more Oscar left in him. We'll get
I
one
do
more
too. You know
great
what? We
performance.
love you, Tom, and we love you, Timmy. I said last night, I was saying, I feel so confident. So confident heard it here. Timothy Chalamet will win an Oscar.
Oh yeah,
I
for
have no
sure.
doubt in my mind he will win. It's just a matter of when and for what role. Yeah.
I think you're completely right. I think he will
Thank you, Jared.
definitely win an Oscar at some point. So.
Yes.
I was trying to see what Tom Hanks was going
Oh,
to
his
be
next
in
stuff?
next.
That's a good question. Now I did see this week his daughter, Elizabeth, is a writer and she just released a book. And he was at a bookstore with a friend. A friend of his owns a bookstore, and he was promoting his daughter's book, which I thought was very cute. I think it's called The 10.
Nice.
I'll double check
Okay.
that.
Very
The
cool.
10 book,
Tom Hanks.
Elizabeth.
Tom Hanks' next project is the next Wes Anderson movie, which comes out this summer, called The
Okay.
Phoenician
The book,
Scheme. So,
The Phoenician Scheme. Okay, that sounds like
hmm
math.
hmm
Yes, it is The 10 is what the book is called by E.A. Hanks, but it's Elizabeth Hanks.
nice. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this movie will be out in June, and Scarlett
Okay.
Johansson and Bill Murray also in it. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
interesting. Adrian Brody not in this one. normally a Wes Anderson staple. Doesn't look like he's going to be
True.
in this one. So,
That's okay.
uh, let's move on to some snubs now. Obviously, The Wild Robot. We mentioned that getting snubbed for best animated feature.
Yep.
To Be More. We mentioned that. Complete Unknown. I think was completely shut out. I don't
It
think it won
was
anything. Yeah.
not a
So
single thing. And you know what? I liked it. I thought it was really, really good. And it was high up in my top 10 list, but I wouldn't say it's a movie that I'm like, it was life changing. But it seemed like it really made an impression on people leading up to the Oscars and at the ceremony. The way people were talking about it in interviews and stuff that I saw, it seemed like the collection of actors outside of the movie really enjoyed that film. And Timothy is clearly very beloved by Hollywood. How many times did they even mention him, make jokes at his expense, but like pan over to him with the camera and stuff? People love Timothy Chalamet.
and I think that was a very, you know, kind of good biopic. You know, it was done
Mm-hmm.
very well by James Mangold. Like you said, I don't think it was anything that we hadn't seen before.
Right,
But,
right.
you know, biopics have won at the Oscars before. And so that's not new. And so I
Mm-hmm.
thought for that type of genre of movie, it was pretty well made. So
Yeah,
it's just I think you had some more unique stories that kind of overtook it this year in terms of
right,
Academy Awards. So
right.
and then Anora winning Best Editing over Conclave. That was a little bit of a surprise as well. People thought Conclave might have a chance there,
I
and
did.
Anora picked that one up. So, and I
Yeah.
think when Anora won that, I think that kind of showed that maybe Anora was going to win Best Picture, because then it started getting,
Yes.
Best Director, Best Actress, and so by the time we got to Best Picture, I was like, this is probably going to be Anora unless Conclave just does something crazy here, or The Brutalist. But The
Right.
Brutalist hadn't really been winning a lot throughout the evening either, except for like sound, or not sound, score. It won Best Score, and then
Yes,
Adrian
yes.
Brody, obviously, and some other things. But it seemed like once we got to that point, it was kind of like Anora's night, and Anora was gonna win. So,
Now, you know what was nice about this Oscars? I wasn't mad by the end, which is
hmm
really cool. Like a lot of times I feel like I say this is my least favorite movie of the bunch, and then that's the one that wins. But I wouldn't have picked Anora for the best film of the year. But it's fine that they did.
yeah, I think I liked Anora. I can see why it won Best Picture.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have selected over that. Maybe Conclave. I did really like Conclave.
I see it'd be between Conclave and The Brutalist for me.
Yeah.
Um
Yep.
I I wouldn't have been surprised if the Academy had picked Conclave.
I wouldn't have either, because I think it's a
Yeah.
very accessible film. It's more accessible than Nora for sure in terms of like its subject matter and watching it, and not it's not as aggressive, I guess, for lack of a
Mhm.
better word. It's a very
Mhm.
kind of just like a thriller story that seems to be, kind of good for like really any audience of any
Yes.
age. When I went and saw it in the theater, there was like a lot of a lot of older people in there. There were some younger
Mhm.
people, so it seemed like it connected across different age groups. Where I can't imagine like
Agreed.
my grandmother watching Anora and enjoying it. So,
No. No. I told my
uh,
parents, do not watch the brutal. I said, do not watch The Substance. I told everyone, do not watch it. I said, Anora, proceed with caution. Brutalist, proceed with caution, but watch it. Those were my instructions.
so the last five Best Picture winners. How do you feel about this five of the 2020 so far? We had
Yeah, go
Anora,
ahead.
Oppenheimer, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Coda, and Nomadland. Those are the last five winners of Best Picture.
I remember being angry about Nomadland.
That was a
Angry.
COVID
Like,
year,
I
so
was mad. I remember being surprised by Coda, and I know I didn't want that one to win that year, but I was happy it did. Everything Everywhere All at Once didn't shake me to my core like it did other people, but I do think it was an incredibly innovative, fun movie. So I'm not mad at that one the more that time goes on. What was last year? Oh, Oppenheimer, totally.
Oppenheimer, yeah.
1000%. Yes. Loved it. Favorite of the bunch.
I would say some of these years are, looking at the Best Picture nominees, some are kind of strong, and then some have a lot of movies that like have just kind of faded into oblivion that we
Yeah.
don't talk about at all. Like the Coda year was Don't Look Up,
Oh,
King Richard, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, Drive My Car. Like a
yes.
lot of these, you just, until I said them, I hadn't even remembered anything about them. So
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
2022 was pretty strong, and then 2023 last year was strong as well, and I think this year had a kind of strong bunch. So,
Also, 2023 was fun. I feel like
hmm
because that was the Barbenheimer time. Like, COVID was like we were getting away from COVID. It was like a fun year for movies.
yeah, you had the Holdovers nominated that year.
Oh, so good.
Killers of the Flower Moon, Past
So good.
Lives was really really good.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
Past Lives was one of my favorites of that
Poor
for sure.
Things was well done. So you had a lot of
Oh, Poor Things.
interesting
Now
movies.
you've lost me there, but sure. Sure.
No Poor Things. So
No, absolutely not.
okay, it's time to move on to the best and worst dressed of the night at the Academy Awards. Are we starting
Poor
with best
Katie. So,
or are we starting with worst or best?
oh, let's do worst. That's a fun
Okay,
idea. Okay. Now, again,
worst up
everyone,
first.
this is my opinion, doesn't mean it's right. Okay. And if you disagree or totally agree, please DM me your thoughts. I would love to know. Oh, I have to pick my number one worst though.
You do.
And I
That's
hadn't
difficult.
done that. Okay, I already know. I already know. And yep, I already know. Okay. So, first of all, Cynthia Erivo and Louis Vuitton, that green dress. I get we're going for drama. I think she is everything. Love Cynthia Erivo. She's so great. That dress, that was not doing it. I don't know why women chose velvet last night. It didn't seem right. And there was a lot of velvet, not last night, Sunday.
That was a
And
big theme. Like the color
big theme.
silver was a big theme.
Silver, which I loved. I loved the silver. I was into the silver. Men wearing color, which I'm very into men wearing color. Like there were some great things. Also, I would say based on my assessment of fashion, I think Dior had a horrible night. I think Schiaparelli, Ralph Lauren, Givenchy, they had the best night as far as
Okay.
fashion goes.
Okay.
Okay, so other people, I'll get to it here. Zoe Saldana and Saint Laurent. I love Saint Laurent. We know I love some YSL, but I didn't love the bubble dress. I also did not. I definitely did not like her Vanity Fair outfit. I liked that way less. I didn't think her outfit was offensive, but I just didn't love it. So if you're going to win an Oscar, that's not the dress I would pick. Um, Scarlett Johansson. She's a beautiful woman, and she is definitely one of those people I have turned to absolutely love just in life. I love her. She seems so normal and cool, but she was wearing vintage Mugler, and it was navy velvet, and she had opera gloves like all the way up. It just, there was, everything was wrong. I hated it.
Okay. I don't even
Uh,
know if I saw her outfit.
oh, it
So,
wasn't good.
okay.
Gal Gadot in Prada. I can't believe I'm saying that. She was wearing red. It didn't,
She did
it,
not look good.
it was not flattering. I
Mm-mm.
hated the cut of the dress. I hated it. Just go look at these. And as always, everyone, we post this episode. I always include some of my best and worst picks in my reel that I have on Instagram and when we post about it. So you'll see it. Okay. Then we also have Rachel Zegler wearing Dior. She is cute and tiny. Now she's controversial. It seems like no one likes her. I don't have a strong opinion about her, but her outfit, the fit was bad. She weighs like 80 pounds, but the fit of this dress was it was so tight. It was flattening
Okay.
everything that wasn't supposed to be flat. It looked bad. It was bad. Um, I can't believe I'm saying it. Emma Stone, Louis Vuitton. I I got the finger wave with the hair. Cool. I get it. You have a pixie cut, whatever. And the color was nice. And she does Louis Vuitton almost every single award show. But I did not think the cut and everything was flattering. It just felt very dull to me. So didn't love
Yeah,
it.
I didn't. As somebody that likes her, I didn't think her outfit
Yes.
was the best she's ever worn for sure.
Thank
So,
you. Well, and I think she has really good style. Even though I
hmm
get tired of some of the things with her, I do think she's a great actress, and I do think she has wonderful style. But this wasn't it. Okay, these two could be controversial.
okay,
I have three left, but these two I think will be controversial. I did not like Monica Barbaro and Dior.
really, okay,
And a lot of people, this has been very divided online, but there's a lot of people that are like me that did not like it. Someone said, "Oh, this looks like vintage Gwyneth Paltrow when she had that pink dress," but that pink dress looked fantastic when Gwyneth Paltrow wore it back in the day when she won for Shakespeare in Love. I hated it was. I know what it was. It was the boning on the bodice part, the like corset part. I hated that.
Okay.
because it was
Yeah,
like
I'm
almost like
looking.
a drop waist. It was bad. It was the middle part that I hated.
Did you see her Vanity Fair outfit? That looked a lot
Yes,
better,
I
I
liked it a
think.
lot better.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. And then thank you for bringing that up, though, actually, because that was something that I've commented on in the best dressed section. Oh, and
Okay.
also this next one. Thank you, Jared. Okay, this could be controversial, but for the most part, people have agreed with my thoughts on this. Mikey Madison. She was in Dior. She was in Dior both for the Oscars and the Vanity Fair party, but I did not like that pink and black. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
like the colors together. I did not like, again, it was the middle. It's something about the middle fit. Um, I thought she looked lovely and elegant, but I wouldn't have chosen to do my hair in a bun like that. I didn't like it. That's just how I feel. But if you look, her Vanity Fair outfit was Dior, and she had like a ruby necklace on and a black dress. It was stunning. Like I just wish she would have switched them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my least favorite. Yes, this is shade, but also I really did think she was the worst. Kylie Jenner and Mew Mew. Kylie Jenner. I get it. I get it. I cannot break them up. I understand. She and Timothy, I'll never understand how they got here, but we are here and those two are together and they have no signs of separating. And they were PDAing, making out all over the place, all over town on Sunday. And I get it. Okay, that's fine. But if your boyfriend is one of the most respected, hottest actors right now, both with his career and he physically is hot, and you get to go to the Oscars and sit in the front row and he looks amazing, that's the outfit you choose? And not only that, it was inappropriate. Like, you don't go to a black tie event and dress that way. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, the girls were out for
Yeah,
sure.
and like
So
I don't mean to sound like she looked like a harlot. I'm not saying that. I just think that was not an elegant dress for that occasion.
hmm I
Like
feel
you
like
wouldn't go to a wedding and wear that.
if she wanted to do something like that, she could have done more like what Demi Moore kind of did, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was like still kind of elegant, but was still trying to be like sexy as well.
Right.
Like I feel like that could have worked better. And then I'm looking at Kylie's outfit at the after party, and that doesn't look great either.
Oh,
So
I didn't see that.
it's
Okay.
like a red. I don't know who made it. It's like a red dress. It's got some arrangement on the stomach waist area of like a
Uh,
flower or something.
is
So
it red
I
or
think
is it
so. I don't
black
know.
and it looks like
I
it's
don't
like
know.
black and nude.
Okay.
But either way, it's like it's also very it's a corseted dress and still very revealing. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just it's not, excuse me, I'm sorry for coughing. It's not just my dislike for her. If we even took that out of it, I just think that was an inappropriate outfit for the Oscars. And also, like, she can afford anything and she doesn't even have to pay for it. They're just giving it to her. Like, she had hundreds of thousands of options. And I just can't believe that's what she picked. I can't believe black is what she picked. Like, everything about it was wrong. So that's just my opinion. But worst dressed, Kylie Jenner. There you go.
Okay.
Best.
On to
Okay.
best dressed.
And some years I've done middle of the road. I didn't do that this year. It's cutthroat. Okay.
You're either good or you're not.
Yeah, absolutely. I already know for sure who my favorite is, but let's start just for fun with the men. The men brought it. Now, I will say, honorable mention to Sebastian Stan. I think he is so fine. I love him so much. But he was wearing, the reason he's not fully in best dressed is because I didn't like the color of his shirt. It was like an
It was kind
eggshell.
of like a cream. Yeah, it was like
And
not white. It was
yeah,
off
but the
white. Yeah.
outfit, like the cut, the outfit, everything else, phenomenal. So good. So good. Also, fun facts. He's dating Annabelle Wallace, who was in a long-term relationship with Chris Pine before that. And she is the niece of the great Richard Harris. She used to be on Peaky Blinders with Killian.
And Sebastian brought his mom to the Oscars.
I
So how
know, and that's
nice.
so sweet.
That's
So
nice.
those are some fun facts for you. So Sebastian, honorable mention. Okay, men, other men. Coleman Domingo, Valentino. Coleman, he never gets it wrong. I have yet to
Mm-mm.
see an outfit where Coleman does not look like the best dressed everywhere. So good. He was wearing red, Valentino, flawless. Um, Timothy Chalamet. Okay. I almost did honorable mention. He looked great. I just don't love yellow, and I don't love that shade of yellow. He looked great though. And it
Hmm.
looked great with his complexion, it looked great with his eye color. The
Good
cut's
cut.
amazing.
Yeah.
The cut was so good. And what I love is Timothy takes risks, and he is so good at the risks that he takes. So I appreciate it. I thought it was great. That was Givenchy. Um, Adrian Brody, I actually loved his outfit. I did think it was a touch boring. He was in Giorgio Armani. Touch boring, very normal, but that brooch was amazing. I loved the brooch. And I like that men are doing brooches. So way to go.
Hmm.
My easily best dressed man, no questions asked. The minute I saw him, I was like, best dressed. Andrew Garfield in Gucci. Oh my dear God, he looked so good. What did you think, Jared? The brown, the
Yeah,
chocolate brown suit.
the brown did look good. I liked that we had a little more color on the red carpet this
Oh,
year from the guys. I don't really just love a black suit. It's nice
mm-mm.
when you know. So I like that we had some yellow, some red.
Yeah,
Jeremy
yeah.
Strong was in like a kind of
Puke,
gold. Yeah,
diarrhea colored
yeah. I don't
outfit.
know.
Yeah,
He's been on some best dress lists, but I don't know if I agree with that.
that wasn't my
Um,
favorite, but it was better than some of them.
Jeff Goldblum, I thought his outfit was fun, very Jeff
Yes,
Goldblum
I
esque
did
with the
too.
flowers and floral, like a purple shirt on. I thought he was good, but
Yep,
I thought the men dressed pretty well. Paul Tazwell's outfit, who
he
won for
looked
Wicked, I
nice.
thought his
Yeah.
his suit was very good as well.
Yep.
So yeah.
Okay.
Overall, men,
Thank
good
you.
job. Nobody that I saw from the man side of things that was like really bad.
Yep.
So
True. True. Okay. For the women, these are my best dressed. I don't have very many. I have one, two, four. I have four. Oh my gosh, I did
okay,
4 and 4. How nice. Uh, Halle Berry and Christian Siriano. She was wearing silver, like stunning. It was impeccable. Her hair looked great, slicked back. The length of it's so good, flawless. What else can I say? She also looks like she's 30 years old. I don't know what deal with the devil happened there, but she is stunning. Stunning. Love her so much. Obviously, I'm gonna say it. Demi Moore in Armani Privé. She looked so good. Also silver, very similar, really, to the same not fabric. It wasn't fabric. It was like crystals and stuff that Halle Berry had, but they were definitely doing silver right. It was so good. Felicity Jones was also wearing like a silver pewter color. She looked great too. Um, okay, my top two: Ariana Grande and Schiaparelli. Except I loved the red dress.
okay,
The
from the
one she
performance.
performed in reminded me of my favorite dress Audrey Hepburn wears in Sabrina, the black and white one. If anyone's a Sabrina fan or Audrey fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The dress was phenomenal. I loved the shoe in the back. It was so good. Now, I liked her pink dress. People talked about that. I'm still I'm still hating that pale pink color on her with the color of hair with her complexion. I'm hating all of that
Hmm.
together. I just don't like, but
I
the
I
dress was so cool.
I did think it was cool, especially because it looked like
Yeah.
it was like elevating her, and like
Yes.
in Wicked, she's obviously flying as a.
Right.
So I don't know if that was
Right.
an inspiration for it or not, but I did think when I saw it that is very unique and interesting, and does
Yes.
look like she's again. It kind of looks like she's like floating almost in that
Totally. It
dress.
was a
So
very structured dress, which was
mhm.
super cool. My favorite, but I loved the red, but they were both Schiaparelli. My favorite, hands down, again, I saw her on the red carpet and I was like, that's it. Selena Gomez in Ralph Lauren. She looked like an Oscar. She looked like one. She looked, you know what? People are commenting on her weight all over the place. I am not placing any speculation. I don't think we should talk about women's weight in general. She looks happier than she's looked in 10 years. I just feel like she is at a place of true acceptance and it is showing through. And she looks so beautiful and so happy, and I'm thrilled for her. Best dress, hands down, Selena Gomez.
I would also add maybe Elle Fanning to your list. I thought she was.
Hmm,
Did you not like that? Okay.
I did. She would have been a middle of the road candidate for me
Okay.
because she and I have very similar skin colors, skin
Hmm.
tones. And stark white is not our color. And stark white, I would say, is even harder on her with her bright, bright blonde hair.
Hmm.
So I think the color washed her out
Okay.
personally. The dress itself was stunning, and she is one of my favorite fashion people. She is so good with fashion. So I didn't think she looked bad. I just thought that color, I feel like if it was a different color, she would have maybe been best dressed
What did you
for
think?
me.
What did you think of? Well, two others, Miley
Yeah.
Cyrus
No.
and Lupita Nyong'o.
Okay, Lupita's was definitely, it was Chanel. Um she was someone that I thought looked radiant. She looked stunning in white, but I thought that was a dress that looked better on and moved better on than it photographed.
Okay.
Because when I saw still pictures, I didn't like it. But when she was on the red carpet getting interviewed and walking, it was one of the prettiest dresses there.
Yeah, because they like interviewed her on the red carpet, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that looks really nice." But you're
I
right.
saw that.
Looking at these photos, it
Hmm.
doesn't pop as
And it's
much.
Chanel.
So
I mean, who doesn't love Chanel? But and
yeah.
then Miley, actually, I thought Miley looked beautiful.
Hmm.
But her eyebrows
Yeah, I don't know what
are
she did to her
freaking out.
eyebrows.
And she and her boyfriend, I don't think they're engaged. They look like clones. Who wants that? Like, who wants to look exactly like the person that they're dating, married to, whatever? Like, you shouldn't look like twins.
Yeah, and then
It was
she
gross.
like completely changed her hair for the after party, so that was
Yeah.
kind of interesting. I know celebrities do that, but to switch it up that much seems like that
Yeah.
would be a lot of work. So
She's just strange to me, but I didn't think much of it. I mean, she looked good other than that.
hmm
Yeah.
so there we go. Best and worst dressed at the Academy Awards. Congratulations to Selena Gomez for winning the
Yes.
honor this year of
You won.
best
I'm going to
dressed.
email you soon. She also was one of the best dressed, I thought, at the Vanity Fair party. She looked
Okay,
just as good, just in a different dress. So good, so good. Now,
and
Benny Blanco was probably one of the worst dressed.
Benny Blanco was like that meme where it's like, I'm trying to describe it, but it's hard to describe. But like, and he's here basically. Like that's what he was. He was just giving off that vibe of like he was there, not very. Didn't look like he had done his hair very much. Kind of a sloppy outfit. Did hold her purse at times on the red carpet, which I thought was nice. So, but yeah, kind of odd relationship there. But he did not. He did not look
Yeah,
great.
I'm really happy for them. He just doesn't do it for me. But
Yeah.
you know what? I don't want to yuck anyone's yum up in here.
Oh, also another best dressed I have to add real quick.
Okay.
Conan, second suit that he wore during the broadcast.
Yes.
The blue kind
the
of.
blue. That
Yeah.
was nice. Agreed.
I liked that. So I thought
Agreed.
that was I don't know who made it. I don't know who
No.
designed it, but I thought that was really cool that he
Yeah.
that he changed and then also wore the blue. So I liked the blue. So there we go. Okay. Best and worst dressed, Kylie Jenner. You will
Wow.
also be getting an email from us.
No, I don't want her to know I said anything.
Well, I already emailed Kris Jenner. So
I don't want her to tell Timothy that he can't fall in love with me.
Well,
Jared,
maybe
I'm
she'll be like, "What about my looks?" This girl on this podcast said.
That's true.
Yeah. I was on the worst
Honestly,
dress
I'm
list.
pretty sure if he looked at me next to her, he wouldn't give me a second look anyway. So, but Jared, I'm so sad that our episode is nearing a close because we don't know the future of the podcast.
Yeah, we don't know our future episodes, what we're gonna do.
We will do some. That's
we
what
will
we
do
had
some.
decided, but we're not going to do a regular cadence at this time.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't, never fear everyone. There's this is episode 216. So you have 215 other ones you can listen to, and we're still available to take your questions. Jared's on the radio if you ever need to contact him.
Yes.
But we will cover some movies
questions
and stuff and keep you posted on social media and things about what we're going to do.
Yeah. I feel like we have probably at this point over 10 full days of audio for you to listen to. So I feel like that's a good amount if you want to go back and start all the way at the beginning and
Absolutely.
go all the way up to now. So
oh, we would love it. Don't give up on us though if you start at the beginning.
whew,
Please.
yeah.
Just know it gets better.
That first Captain Marvel episode, I think, was longer than this
the
episode, and we were talking about one movie. One movie. We went deep dive in I don't even think the cast of Captain Marvel went as deep on their movie as we did. We covered
didn't even
every
like it very
aspect.
much.
No, we were like it was fine, but we
wasn't
didn't.
even good.
We were not like gushing over it. It also wasn't like 3.5 hours or anything, so it didn't require like a lot of time to dissect it. But
No.
we really went detailed on Captain
was
Marvel.
funny.
So that was a fun first episode. So
Yes.
and also starting like right before the pandemic, great choice by us. So
We didn't know.
yeah,
But,
we had no
dude,
idea. But
As as I've said many times, it's a delight to do this with you, and you're one of the best people I know, and I love doing this. This has been such a great experience.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I felt like we've gotten better at our public speaking skills, at our
Yes.
improv,
Social
media, all that stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. Now, don't worry, we are going to have some episodes this year. We'll probably do one sometime in the summer that's like, what have we seen
Yeah.
that are big summer movies?
Probably quarterly updates.
Yeah, I think we'll do, quarterly things. If something
And I
really
bet there'll
big
be,
happens.
I think there's going to be better movies this year too. Please, God.
I think so. I think last year, we didn't really talk about it last year on the podcast, but the writer's strike and the actor's strike, pushed all those like big things to kind of this year because they all got delayed like 12,
Right.
18 months. So
Right.
I think, like you said, we've got some heavy hitters coming out this year
Mm-hmm.
and some more Chris Pratt movies. So
No, get out of here.
all the big stars are out for 2025. So, okay, well, I guess we should wrap this up. Thanks so much for listening to our Oscars episode. You can follow us on social media at Podcast Silver. Be sure to DM, ask Katie and I your questions if you have any questions. We're on Instagram and Facebook. We don't use X anymore, so just send us a message there. We will not see it. But follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
And
enjoy.
Letterboxd.
And Letterboxd. We're on Letterboxd too. Our Letterboxd profiles are in the description for the show wherever you listen, so you can follow us on Letterboxd and see what we're watching.
Until next time, we'd like to thank the Academy.